Happy Wine Wednesday and Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays to everyone. Um, we didn't have a particular Wine Wednesday scheduled for tonight, but with my hectic schedule, I forgot. So I was here and I thought I'm going to jump in for a second just to see if anybody's out there and had a seahorse problem, right? Because that's the main reason we do these Wine Wednesdays is to get together with our community and find out if there's any questions about seahorses, help newcomers, and of course, help anybody with a problem. So just jumping in here by myself for once for just a second and I thought I'd show off my new wine glass. It has a K for Kelly. My daughter got it for me, and I was literally like, why didn't you put SW? She didn't like that comment, but it's still a very cute wine glass. Hey, Zen Ginger. I'm just jumping in for a second to see if everybody's having a fabulous holiday. We always celebrate earlier, right? Um, and so, Christmas Day is nothing to me. So I hope all of you are with your amazing families and having a great Christmas. Like I said, I just wanted to jump in case anybody had a problem. I'll ramble for a minute and then I'll let you get back to your stuff. But glad to see you, Zen. I hope you're having a good holiday. So only thing that I would say is I want us all to talk next week about our New Year's resolutions, right? Because some of mine have to do with seahorses, right? All of you know that I've been desperate for fry, and here we've got all these hobbyists all over that just keep their seahorses, keep giving them babies, and mine don't. And I set out when I first set up the all-in-one tank. I set out to prove that you could do it. And you can. My seahorses are great. But I overstocked it, right? And then I didn't want to change things around. And then I added macros, and that's not an ideal tank for breeding, right? So one of the things that I plan to do, and I'll share more next week, but one of the things that I plan to do is I'm going to get more serious about the breeding aspect and possibly redo a tank or two, or a tub or two. Hey, Hans. So that I can really focus on getting that fry that I've wanted for so long. And you guys, we've joked back and forth a lot about the fact that maybe my seahorses knew that I wasn't ready for them because, as you guys know, I've missed a few Wine Wednesdays. I've got a hectic schedule at work. So, taking on fry in that predicament isn't the best thing because you can't give them as much attention as they need. But things are settling down for me, getting my daughters off to college and getting my life in order and everything at work straightened out. So hopefully this next year, I'm going to have a lot more information. Hopefully I'll finish that website and hopefully I'll have a lot more information for anybody who's interested in breeding. But back to you guys. Again, anybody new, you guys, anybody that just popped on, I'm just letting you know I just popped on to make sure nobody was having any seahorse crisis that we needed to deal with or, had a question. Zen, we want to know, is your New Year's resolution that you're going to finally get the tank up? I'm totally teasing you because I know. And I think I want to say too that I think that someone like Zen is really amazing because instead of just ordering seahorses and throwing things together, she's really thought things out, planned things out, and made sure that she's going to set it properly for them instead of to be honest, in my case, I'm like, I after my mom died, I let my tanks kind of not be in the best of a situation because I had my own stuff going on. And then I was like, I want to restart this seahorse thing. And I realized how difficult it is these days because when I first started, it was like I could go to Dan Seahorse Source and I could get Cuda, Erectus, Reedi, Barbori, any multiple species I could get. And I had tanks all around my house with all these different species. Then when I let things go a minute and I got back into it, I was like, oh my gosh, there's nowhere to buy seahorses anymore. Since Seahorse Source is no longer doing that, where do we go? And so that's another thing I want us all to explore is more focusing on hobbyist breeders, not just because I'm going to be one, of course, but just focusing on how to acquire seahorses and different species and things like that, and go back to the basics on how to make sure that you're getting, captive bred, high quality seahorses, the tricks to make sure that that's the case, those kinds of things. But yeah, I just, when I got back into seahorses, I was really surprised that it was so difficult to find different species and even people breeding erectus anymore, or good captive breeders to buy from. So we'll explore that a bit. And, along with me, hopefully some of you will become hobbyist breeders and support the hobby. But for those of you just getting started, Zen, you said your resolution is to finally get started. That's what I want to hear. I want to see more people keeping seahorses. It'll be awesome. But okay, Tony says, I have some wine, but it's Thursday in England. Am I welcome? I have no seahorse snacks. So you're still welcome. I mean, cheers to Thursday and no seahorse snacks. All good. But again, guys, I'm not going to ramble on all night. I just kind of wanted to update you guys on my plans for this upcoming year. We'll talk more about it next week. Wanted to make sure that nobody was in seahorse crisis, and just kind of, you guys know I like to ramble. So I just thought I'd ramble for a minute, right? But I really do hope to see Zen set up this year. I love seeing new seahorse keepers get started, and we do have some new people that now come to the channel and now have jumped into the channel. So if you're someone who's interested in setting up seahorses, go back and watch some of the previous Wine Wednesdays. And we still plan to do a one-on-one with a newcomer where that newcomer asks every question, like, how big a tank? Why do I need that big a tank? What's the most important thing when setting up for seahorses? What equipment do I absolutely need? And what can I get if I want? And the problem, I've been trying to do a website for years, guys. And the problem with setting up a website for seahorses or for people interested in seahorses is that there's so many different answers. Like, you're going to get one person that says, oh, you've got to go bare bottom, you've got to be completely sterile, etc., etc. Fake decorations, nothing live. Those are usually the people that want less maintenance or they're interested in breeding. Like I said, in my case, I always want the best of both worlds. So, oh, I'm sorry, let me back up. So one person will say sterile and artificial decorations and, heavy equipment. Another person will say, go the natural route, have this gorgeous macro tank with seahorses that are like in their natural environment and, all that filtration and etc. You can do it both ways, right? And my problem is, I'm admitting it, my problem this year, because I've really wanted fry, it hasn't happened yet. I keep thinking I'm going to get fry and then I don't. And really, it's my laziness because I haven't separated the seahorses that I see courting and doing the spins and doing the headbutting and turning bright white, because I know they want to give me fry, but I've got them overcrowded in this all-in-one. Oh, okay, that fell. Overcrowded in this all-in-one tank, and that's not the most ideal environment. So that's like what I was saying earlier. One of the things I'm going to do is separate maybe a pair that I think is trying to give me fry and put them in a more sterile environment where I can really focus on high quality enriched foods and get them all fattened up and, giving me healthy fry. But in the all-in-one, I started off like, okay, I'm going to start back with seahorses. Then I was like, I want more seahorses. Then I was like, I want macros. I want fry too, but I want macros. So I'm one of those, princesses that just wants everything, right? But I wanted the macros. I wanted the beautiful tank, but I also want fry. So again, we're going to work on separating and getting the things that I want by doing it the right way instead of just expecting everything to work out when you throw things into a tank nilly-willy and just expect them to give you what you want. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And oh, Tony's a diver. That's really cool. Um, yeah, I mean, we talk a lot with Chris Carey, and Chris Carey worked for Seahorse World in Australia, and um, he's talked a lot, quite a bit about diving. That's one of my other New Year's resolutions. Is this year I went to Italy, right? You guys know that. Next year I really want to go to Australia. I want to meet Chris Carey in person. I want to meet Steve McLeod in person. He's the one that does the Sea Dragons. And oh my gosh, I'm going to smack myself. I can't remember the name of his business. I'm so sorry, Steve. But my point is, I really want to meet all these guys in person. And I want to go out and I want to dive and I want to see seahorses in the wild and sea dragons in the wild. I just think that would be so magical. So that's one of the things on my bucket list for next year for sure. So that's really cool that you're doing it already, Tony. Very, very, very jealous. But yeah. Anyways, again, like I said, guys, was just rambling because I know everybody's with their families. I just thought I'd jump on in case anybody was having that seahorse crisis. Make sure that nobody came and we weren't here. So, and just kind of to ramble and tell you guys what I'm planning to do because I'm getting really focused back into seahorses, right? Like I've had such a stressful year and it didn't pay off. And I'm really wanting next year to be more about, my kids are gone. It's time for me to enjoy my life, and my life enjoys taking care of seahorses, right? And Tony, I will say too that one of the main things we promote on this channel is captive bred seahorses for hobbyists, right? Because we respect the seahorses in the ocean and we don't want to diminish their numbers. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, guys, I won't, if I don't have any questions. Oh, Zen Ginger said the sea dragon you saw in Honolulu is the reason that you want Honolulu Zoo is the reason why you want seahorses today. Yeah, man, they're if I could keep sea dragons, like knowing again, one of the reasons that we're always like, if someone talks about ghost pipefish or someone talks about sea dragons or anything like that, I literally have a friend, Deborah. Go back on the channel and look for the interview with Deborah, where she is a sea dragon keeper. And it's amazing. And I wish I could do it. I can't. I totally, completely admit I can't. I don't have the room space or, proper flooring to keep a 10,000 gallon tank, right? And you have to give these creatures what they need, right? That's the whole key. If you want to be successful, you have to give them what they need. But I think that like with certain species, they're just not for the average hobbyist or maybe a newcomer. People can pull it off, and they have. But I do think you're getting into some murky territory if you start trying to keep them when you know you're not capable. So that's why I don't personally. And yeah, go back and watch the Deborah video because the sea dragons are cool in the ocean and they're cool in a tank. And hers were, 2 years old. Like they were doing well. So it can be done. But anyways, I know I just went off on way on a tangent, but I really wish that I could keep sea dragons and I can't. So my next best thing is I'm gonna go to Australia and see them in the wild. That's my on my bucket list for next year. But Zen, yeah, we got to just get you some seahorses. That's all. And as soon as you're set up, as soon as you're set up, we're going to find the best seahorses for you. And you're going to share how it goes. And yeah, this upcoming year, guys, hi, Fish Fam Link. Definitely check out Fish Fam Link for all of the best links to all of the great channels and great resources for anything saltwater and even freshwater, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So check them out. But again, yeah, I know I've gone from left to right field and I'm all over the place. It's Christmas. I have wine. It is what it is. But, and I'm not used to being on here by myself. So I'm like, I'm not talking back and forth with someone. And that makes me, I haven't had to do that in a really long time. So I'm like, just trying to make sure I share everything. But I'm also like, this is so uncomfortable. So sorry, guys. But I'm used to being able to direct the other people versus have to have all the focus on me. But yeah, I just wanted to share that next week I definitely want to talk about New Year's resolutions. And again, share that one of mine is to get serious about the seahorses again. I feel like this year I've just done um, a lot of just getting by, right? Like I love my seahorses. I do take care of them. I don't neglect them, but I could do more. And if I want them to breed, I know how to set up to get them to breed. And I just haven't done it. We've talked how many weeks about separate them into a different tank, fatten them up with enrichment. And I just haven't done it because I haven't had the time. And I feel like this upcoming year, because of some changes I've made, that I'm going to have that time. So hopefully we'll get there. Also, really going to get serious about the website. Again, guys, that's what's so hard about finishing it is that every article, it's like you titled an article, How to Set Up for Seahorses, it would be 500 pages long because, well, do you want this? Because you can do it this way or you can do it that way. And so that's why on Wine Wednesday, we try to bring in people from every area of setting up for them and show that that works. If you want to do it that way and you want to do major water changes and give them enough water volume and maybe not have a sump but do it a different way, you just got to stay on it. Whereas if you use all the sump and equipment and give them enough water volume again, but use a huge skimmer and things like that, then you can get by with less maintenance. But both ways work. So it's really hard to say this is how you have to set up for seahorses because it's just not fair. The one thing I would say is follow in Zen's footsteps and always do your research. Decide what kind of tank you want. Meaning, do you want natural macros or gorgonians and that kind of thing? Or are you more interested in longevity and maybe breeding, in which then you would want more, or are you just lazy like some of us on the channel, um, and you don't want as much maintenance, and then you go with artificial decorations, no sand, big sump, skimmer. Again, we've talked about this lots of times on Wine Wednesday, and we will try to do a dedicated show where it's we've done it before, but we'll do it again this year where it's for newcomers. So if you are a newcomer and you're like, what is she talking about? She's like telling me all this stuff. We'll do a show that's absolutely focused in on specific questions. But yeah, I just thought I'd get in here and ramble for a minute and say Merry Christmas to everybody. And, because I missed a few times in the previous weeks, I was like, did we say we weren't going to do it tonight? I can't remember. So I thought I'd jump in just to make sure. But okay, Hans kept seahorses from 2018. Yes, they are the most magnificent. I love my seahorses. Guys, if you're somebody who didn't even think about keeping seahorses, maybe you're a saltwater person, the thing is, you're going to hear people say that seahorses are high maintenance. I disagree. We've had this fight live, right? I've had this fight with Holly and Ray because it's not that they're high maintenance. It's just a different way of keeping a fish, right? So you keep freshwater different than saltwater. You keep a reef different than a fish only tank, right? It's the same kind of thing. To keep seahorses, they really do need to, number one, okay, let's just go through it real quick. I guess the basics for keeping seahorses is they have to have a lower temperature, so there's not a lot of things you can keep with them. You can't put them in a reef. You can, but it won't be long-term successful, if that makes sense. So if you're interested in seahorses, you need to keep them under 74 degrees. You need to worry about high organics because you do have to feed them more. And there are just like little quirky things like that. But if you set up a tank for seahorses, you get used to it. And then it's like, okay, I have to feed more and I have to have the equipment or do the water changes to keep the water cleaner. But that's it. Just the same as if you keep a reef tank, you have to dose maybe elements and all the different things to make your coral grow. You're just making your seahorses grow, right? It's just a different way, but it's not like more intense or more difficult. I feel like my reef tank was harder than the seahorse tanks, because with the seahorse tanks, and the other part is the seahorse tanks, which I was about to say they tell you when something's wrong, whereas coral doesn't. And obviously that's not true. Coral tells you when something's wrong too, right? They won't open up, they don't grow, whatever. But I'm just saying the seahorses are very interactive. They're like little puppies, and they come up to the glass and they'll tell you if they're hungry, for sure. They'll tell you if, they'll turn really dark if something's in the water. So there are very clear indications if a bacterial infection is starting to happen because you haven't kept the water clean enough. Those kinds of things. So just saying, yeah, I'm just rambling. But basically, I'm just saying they're not harder than keeping any other tank. They're just different. And so when you come to, let's say, Wine Wednesday or the website once it's done, or go into one of the Seahorse groups and you ask questions like that, you'll figure out what kind of seahorse tank you want to keep and what is necessary for that tank. So again, really hard to say this is how to do it because there's so many ways. But if you ever come to Wine Wednesday and you say, okay, so this is what I want. I want to keep seahorses, but I also want a natural looking tank with macros. I'm your girl. I can tell you how to do that. If you say, I eventually want to breed and I just want to make sure my seahorses live a long time or whatever, we can set you up with that. We've all, Holly, Ray, and I have done the multiple different ways. So we're here for you as a community of seahorse keepers to help you with that. And I appreciate that you guys are here for me too. Not only do you show up for Wine Wednesday and listen to me ramble, but also it's been a depressing year. I've struggled at work. My seahorses haven't given me fry. So next year's got to be better, right? Yeah, and I said I tried to be here last week. Here I am, right, rambling on and on. But I'm not gonna keep it going for hours and hours. I just wanted to pop on because Holly and Ray are obviously enjoying their festivities. I hope all of you guys are having an amazing Christmas too. Um, and then we got to get together on the side and see where you're really at, because I've been hearing about this tank for a long time. And I know you have plumbing problems, but I really want to see someone like you get into seahorses because you're an influencer and you know everyone. And so the more people that see people successful with seahorses and doing it the right way, and then that leads back to here. Well, go to Wine Wednesday. They helped me figure it out, kind of thing. But yeah, upcoming year, lots of resolutions, lots of changes, trying to get the website done. Gonna try to get back into the gear. Oh, I found my shirt too. The member. We do have a membership here, where if you become a top member, you do get a free shirt. But we'll also have Seahorse gear coming soon too. But yeah, I don't see any specific seahorse questions. So again, was just trying to pop on, guys. But if you do have a seahorse question and you see this later and you're like, I was coming. You usually go till 10 o'clock and you stopped at 8:40. Sorry, guys. But you can always ask a question in the comment section. You can also go to the Seahorse Whisperer group on Facebook. We always take questions there. There's also a chat within the group, like on Messenger, so that you can reach us more quickly. But we're interested in all the questions, and we're interested in helping anybody who wants to join the community. So, but you're around everywhere, Zen. That's why everybody knows you. So once you do it successfully, everybody's going to be like, "Oh, you can." And I said something earlier, guys. I said you can't keep seahorses in a reef tank, and that's not technically true. People have done it. The trick to keeping seahorses in a reef tank is finding that equilibrium between temperature and water volume, right? Because the reason that we keep seahorses at a lower temperature is because they're so prone to bacterial infections. So if you keep the temperature low, under 74 degrees, then the bacteria that's always ever present in the tank, it's going to be there. You can't, it's going to be there, right? Vibrio is ever present in the tank. But if you keep the temperature low, the bacteria doesn't get to populations where it can affect the seahorses. So it just kind of like keeps it low enough that the seahorses stay safe and not sick and don't get sick. Whereas if you have this huge, gigantic tank, like we were saying, if you keep, 10,000 gallon tank to keep sea dragons or something, or if you have we had someone with a 300 gallon seahorse tank, and he had all sorts of coral in it, and he had a huge sump, and he had major equipment, and, that worked because he found that equilibrium. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying for anybody who has never kept seahorses before, and doesn't understand their needs, that we can maybe help you start off in a different way that's safer so you don't get these expensive seahorses and lose them. You definitely don't want to stick a bunch of seahorses in a 55-gallon reef tank with a bunch of other fish. That's not going to work long term. Let's say that, because you can put up a picture showing it can work, but not long term. So, anyways, thank you, Zen, for sharing the links. And I know I've kind of jumped around all over. Again, Christmas, wine. My kids are gone. I'm all by myself. And I just wanted to jump in and say hello and happy holidays to all of you, and make sure that no one was in crisis and needed help, and kind of ramble for a minute. But I think I am done. I tried to call Holly and be like, hey, do you want to jump on? She's off enjoying her holiday, so we'll let her. But don't, yeah, please follow the links. Again, go to Fish Fam link to see all of the links to everyone that really help all of the communities. Definitely a resource that you should put in your pocket. But next week we'll be getting serious and diving in. I'll try to do an ad or something, a post or something to tell you the focus of next week, but I can already give you the hint that it's going to be on what we're doing with the next year. And if you guys have anybody that you want me to bring in as a guest, don't forget to tell me. Again, you can ask questions in the groups, in the comment section here. I check them always. And yeah, there's Shyla. Hello. I want to know next week too how you're doing, how everything is doing over there, because I hope everything's going well for you. But for tonight, I am going to cut it. I've rambled on enough, I think. But I don't do this very well by myself, guys. That's why I need guests. I need you guys to jump in, right? But we'll be back next week for sure. And with that, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy